Sergei Pavlovich came out, made a quick statement, said, "No time to relax. I will be back soon." That's all he said. But he did have me thinking. I mean, the world appeared to belong to Sergei Pavlovich for a period of time. And he was a bit stoic. He didn't say a whole lot. He had the blonde hair, the strong jaw, the Russian background. Like, there was a few things there that even if we weren't told because he didn't let us in, there were a few things that were very helpful, not to mention the fact that he went out and did in real life what Ivan Drago pretended to do in the movies, right? I mean, he's just putting people down. All of a sudden, Jon Jones is scared him. This narrative comes up. Jon never steps forward to say, "No, I'm not." I mean, it was just one of those things where he had a lot going in his direction. To get shut off that quickly, right? I mean, there's one thing about the stoic approach from a marketing standpoint. You can get away with it if you keep winning. But there is no other way. There is no other way to reach stardom, to reach the end of the card, to reach title shots if you don't keep winning. When that becomes your one and only asset, when your one and only commodity, which represents 99% of fighters, their only monetizable commodity is the performance itself. Now, with that said, if you're going to go down, I believe he possibly went the best way possible. Fast, got caught with a punch, the end. We never really saw these guys fight. We don't really know who the better fighter is. We know who won. We don't really know who the better fighter is. Or the better wrestler is, or the better guard game belongs to, or who the conditioning, right? There was a lot of questions left unanswered, and that can be a positive. But moreover, Sergei's very simple comment, because see, guys, I don't believe that Sergei's time in the sun is over. At that weight class, at heavyweight, there is opportunities for belts that can re-pop up time and time again. And Pavlovich does appear to have broken himself off from the pack. He appears to be in the very elite. Top 5, very elite, but with a gap between the rest of the field. But when I tell you that his comment made me think, of course he'll be back soon. Sure he will. And what's that going to look like? Like when Sergei Pavlovich returns, when he gets booked, when he gets another opponent, wherever that is, it's not going to be small. I can't imagine a likely scenario where it's less than a co-main event, as a matter of fact. So, when he gets booked in a meaningful match on the worldwide leader of ESPN, it will be very difficult to book him, who is going to need special clearance through a commission because the result ended in TKO, before you book Tom. That was the biggest takeaway that I had when I read Sergei's comment. Yeah, you'll be back. Yeah, you'll be back soon. I bet they're already talking about opponents for you to be back. But what's that announcement going to look like? When Pavlovich comes back and returns and that gets announced, if that is prior to an announcement for Tom, and it just reminds me that we don't know a lot about the heavyweight division right now. We just think that we do. We all seem to be at ease thinking that we understand this, but we don't. It makes it more confusing. It really does. Like, this novel idea that it's going to be Jones and Stipe next. There was such a massive, overwhelming bet, if you had to hedge, that is what's going to happen. But there are the details within the fight that simply don't exist. When? Where? Do we have a bout agreement? If you don't have a bout agreement, if you don't have a signed bout agreement, you don't have anything yet. And so I only bring that to you because Jon's not quite in a position. He's in a position to defend himself, to verbally defend himself should he choose. And there are certain things that get under his skin and he does choose. But he's not in a position to come out and start fighting people, right? He's healing. Stipe has done nothing wrong. To take an opportunity from Stipe, who did nothing wrong. Stipe showed up on the date he said he would show up, on the weight that he said he would make. So if we move Stipe and we give him something else to do, it doesn't quite feel right. But if attempting to preserve a fight which is not made, if attempting to preserve a fight that will be sometime in the future that's meaningfully distant from now, if attempting to preserve a fight for a world championship between two guys who say, we're going to retire after this event anyway, if attempting to preserve that halts your current active champion, who is not talking about retirement, who is going to be here for another decade, it seems as though that all would need revisited. And what is the point? This is a rhetorical question. I know the answer to it, but I'm going to plant the seed for you. What is the point of saying that you have a fight between Jones and Stipe? What is the point of saying that and standing strong on that if you don't have a bout agreement? If you have a fight, that's the fight we're going to do. Let's send out the bout agreement. Why don't we? And I know the obvious answers. If Jon doesn't know and he'll be healthy, I understand those obvious answers. But there's equally as obvious of an answer to this. Why are we saying that we're going to do that fight in the future that nobody's asking for? No, nobody is. Here, let me just give you an example. I'm not suggesting for you that Tom versus Jon is the talk of the town. I'm not suggesting for you that Aspinall versus Stipe is the talk of the town and our whole community, we can't quit discussing it. But I will offer for you, whenever you see somebody in my position, right? Whenever you see somebody that's speaking on this round robin and how this should be played out, and moreover, when and with who first should it be played out against, you don't hear anybody saying, no, hey guys, whoa, hold on. Hey, we got it right. Hey, this is the way it should be. It's got to be Jones and Stipe for the undisputed title at a future undisclosed date of roughly a year from now, possibly even into 2025. We must do that. And then everything else is a byproduct. Where Surreal goes and Tom and Jayden Almeida, I mean, all these things got to be figured out. But we must cling to the idea that we had a month ago. That must be preserved. Like, you've never heard that argument. You've never heard somebody coming up from that direction. So, what do you suppose the reason for saying that you have a fight and you're going to do a fight when you don't have a bout agreement for the fight? What do you suppose the motivation would be?